Test. 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 Good morning.
Because we have a lot. I just want to make sure that certain people are watching online. People are watching. So I know Sergio. Okay. I think that's I don't know if you're on.
I just did get with us. Okay.
We'll take it slow. And then I had asked you, you want to do the public presentation after we do the tutorial? Or do you want to do it?
Let's do it later so that I don't hear.
So then that would be the last.
Yes.
That's great. Yes, I just want to clarify.
Thank you. Anything else you need?
No, I'm just looking at the door to see if John comes in. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Valley Best Shalom. It's so nice to have everyone here. Mazel tov to the Saada Schwartz family. We're going to get started here. If you have a blue siddur, please go ahead and take that out. The red humashim we'll be using in a little bit. I want to welcome everyone who's joining us online. Let's go ahead and try to get settled. As we settle in, take your blue Siddur and open it to page 65. As we begin with our preliminary prayers, I ask the congregation to please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan tzivina lavin bayom u'baylayla. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam asher asani b'tzamoa. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam asher asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher asani ben chorim. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam bokei achivrim. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam abisha rabim. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam matir asarim. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam zokeh tuvavim. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam rakal haaretz ha'lamayim. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam she'asani kol tzorkim. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam ha'mechim et tzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozir b'Yisrael b'kvara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam notnei ha'koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ha'me'er she'eino me'ayit v'ma'amei afapai. Utunoinu hayom b'chol yom nechazed rachamim b'nech b'nei koreinu v'dali b'nei chasadim tovim. Baruch atah Adonai komel chasadim tovim l'emo Yisrael. You may be seated. We continue on page 67. Atahu ada shalom le'marad olam atahu le'marad shalom. Kaddish et shimcha, mekadesh shemecha, v'kadesh et shimcha b'olemecha, b'shuatecha tarim t'chalilu karveinu, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh et shimcha b'rabim, atah Eloheinu b'shamayim v'ha'aretz b'shamayim v'le'iluyim. V'yatayim avavim atchem, u'ekvotzi etchem, giyat einechem Hashem v'tidot b'chol amay ha'aretz, shuvi al shuatechem enei omar Adonai. We continue at the bottom of page 7. Yehi ratzon melchanecha Adonai Eloheinu le'avot nishitzecha k'nei b'toratecha v'hem atara shel Aaron haKohen ohev shalom v'rodef shalom v'valed habriot v'gravan laTorah. If you are in mourning or observing a yard site or would like to say Kaddish, Kaddish to Rabbanan is on page 71, and I ask you to please rise. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei rabba v'yamad yivrach yiroteh v'yamich malchuteh. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala b'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach v'yomeh melaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitermam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudshav v'chu le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiram v'yamav v'yimru amen. Al Yisrael ve'al Rabbanan ve'al Tamidehun ve'al Tamidei Tamidehun ve'al kol ma'an da'askim ve'oraita diva atra hedin ve'yid kol atar ve'atam ye'en lahon nachon shvam araba hina v'chista rachamim chayin arechim mizuna ridicha ufer panamin kavano shmaya ve'imru amen yehei shvam araba min shmaya chayin tovim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen oseh shalom b'mramav hu barachamav yaseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. You may be seated. We continue on page 72. Mizmor shel yom haShabbat, Tov Adonai Adonai Sadikat Mayi Fragaris Babanon Yiskesh Julim Beit Adonai Ve'adrot Alenu Yafrichud Yinu Seina V'Sheni Ranim Yula Giga Shadonai Tzari V'Lo Alatabo. We continue on page 81. Mizmor Shir Chanukah Tavai Dida Binamim Chadanat. הפכת מספורתם חולים, ביטחת שקים ותורשבין את שמחה למען ישרק ולא ידום, אדוני אלוהי ללמדך. Kaddish Yatom is on page 82. Once again, if you are in mourning or observing a yard site, I ask you to please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabba, v'yomad yivrach yiroteh v'yamlich malchuteh. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'tzman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam amei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu. Le'olam mikol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiram v'yama v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya. Chaim Aleinu ve'akol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'marmav ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'akol Yisrael v'yimru amen. On page 83, the congregation rises together for Pesukei de Zimra with the words of Baruch Shemar. Baruch Shemar v'ya'olam Baruch Oseh Bereshit Baruch Omer v'Yosef Baruch Ozim Kayim Baruch Merachem al Barens Baruch Merachem al Briot Baruch Muslim Sachat El Deriyah Baruch Hadei Avi Kayam Lanetzach Baruch Odem Matzil Baruch Shemo Baruch Atah Adonai Melech Olam Yachin Che'olamim Melech Moshe Fa'aliyat Shemo Gadol Baruch Atah Adonai Melech Mu'olam B'Tishbachot. You may be seated. We continue Pesukei de Zimra on page 84. Hold it Adonai Kerushim Alreim. Shiva the night kol haaretz basarumi on the yom Yeshua tatzah regoy v'gol dav kol yom amin v'nor kol Elohim ki kol Elohim amin Adonai Shemay masol v'adav v'nav v'adav Yishtachav v'nei maran kodesh v'adav Adonai ki tov yelelav chaskav v'rmosh yelelav Yeshua Remember Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachav v'lam ragav kadoshu Remember Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachav v'har kadsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu v'racham v'chaper avon v'lo yashki Adonai tzod imanu meskav lanu einu kasela Adonai tzod Elohei shalom v'dei v'achal neshem melech v'yaneinu v'yom koreinu v'shiyot ha'mechavim V'ani b'chastecha b'tachli ygali b'yeshuatecha shir Adonai ki gamai. Page 87, the Matzeh Mitzvah of David Hashemayim. Torah Adonai Tzmishvah Nafesh Adonai Adonai Moon Nechomdei B'tchi B'du Adonai Yisharim Mitzvah of Mitzvah Adonai Torah Meri Adonai Vir Adonai Torah Adonai Mitzvah Adonai Med Tadu Yachtal Azay tam nechadu mesricha rab yiratzah milfa amrei fi b'yagol nevi l'shut l'fanecha Adonai tzari v'goli. Yoshev etzel tel yom etzel shaddai l'galam amalashim. Ki kol chasak machol yoshchem v'yoshemi yakareni v'anei amal anochi matzarich l'tzarech l'decha orech yomi mas v'yevorei Yeshuati orech yomi mas v'yevorei Yeshuati. Page 91. Hallelujah. Ki yegol v'chol v'nayis v'l'tavayos. Atzvei going into the was nine the heavenly user up and the wish will be and become a Beit Yisrael Baruch Hu Adonai Beit Aru Baruch Hu Adonai Beit Levi Baruch Hu Adonai Yirei Adonai Baruch Hu Adonai Baruch Adonai Mitzion Shochin Yerushalayim Aliyah. We rise together on page 92 for the Grand Hallel. Odu l'Adonai g'yetzov ki le'olam chasto. Odu l'Eloi ha'Elohim ki le'olam chasto. Odu l'Adonai ha'Adonim ki le'olam chasto. Yosef nefla'ot gedolot levado ki le'olam chasto. Yosef Shamayim v'Tbuna ki le'olam chasto. Dorkach haaretz al hamayim ki le'olam chasto. ויוסר אורים גדולים כי לעולם חסדו תשמש במשת היום כי לעולם חסדו את הריח וכוכבים ששלו בלילה כי לעולם חסדו למען מצרים בקוריהם כי לעולם חסדו ויוצא ישראל מתוכם כי לעולם חסדו וידך צדקה וזרוע נטויה כי לעולם חסדו גוזר ים סוף לגזורים כי לעולם חסדו ועבר ישראל בתוכו כי לעולם חסדו ונראה פרעה וחיל בים סוף כי לעולם חסדו ומוליך עמו מאמין בה כי לעולם חסדו ומכה מלכים גדולים כי לעולם חסדו ויהרוג מלכים אדירים כי לעולם חסדו וסיחון מלך האמורי כי לעולם חסדו ולעוג מלך הבשן כי לעולם חסדו ונתן ארצם לנחלה כי לעולם חסדו נחל ישראל עבדו כי לעולם חסדו שדי בשבילנו זכלנו כי לעולם חסדו וירפיקנו מצרינו כי לעולם חסדו נותן לכם לאכול בשר כי לעולם חסדו הודו לאל השמיים כי לעולם חסדו. You may be seated. We continue on page 95. Adonai Malach Unavesh Lavesh Adonai Hazadik Azal Mikol Hamayim Rabim Adonai Mishreya Mother Bamaram Adonai Adechad Muleo Levechana Bakodesh Adonai Loechemi Mikol Adonai Lelam Yismach Lanai Bamasavishem Adonai Adonai Kilato Yadashim Amel Yasob Berachah Mikapav Yaneskin Malashivol Yermakomakomato Adonai Hashem Melech Yanenu B'Yom Karenu. Page 96. Ashrei Yoshe Beitecha Orilu Chasel Ashrei Shekach Chadar Ashrei Shemini Lavav Didor Bevar Mim Chadar Melech Berach Hashim Vanei Lamim Gadol Nim Gadol Davar Zecharav Yechayavim Zodar Chamadar Chadar Malchut Chamukot Ulamim Shotem Gadol Ein Echol Eretz Ubevatem Nechol Nevito Potech Edetech Matvi Nechol Karat Gadol Tila Tatanai the baby Barak of a Sashi Kachalam Boy and after Borg Metavinala Hallelujah Ashreshi Gabaji Moses my Mared Mishpat Asukim not in the Rechamaribim Adonai Matira Surim Adonai Boke Achibrim Adonai Zokef Kabuvim Adonai Oev Tzadikim Adonai Shomer Girim Yatov Amanai Yodel V'der Kashim Yashivek Yimok Adonai Le'olam Alayach Sion Adavador Hallelujah Hallelujah. We're on page 98. Yishach Torah Mitzvah Yoshev Ruchazel Mayim Magidor Yaakov Hu Mishpat Yisrael Lo Yisrael Lo Yisrael Mishpatim Lo Yadim Adonai Hallelujah. Yadu Hashem Adonai Ki Niskal Namshum Lavadov the Lord Shemayim Vayoram Kerem Liamodi La Palasina V'Bnei Yisrael Karovo Hallelujah Hallelujah. Page 100. Shiva Adonai Shir Chadash Shiloh the Bethel the Nasigdali Sulakot the Shamachlayim Magdis Yisrael Miflei Vazel Asobem Mishpat Katir Badaru the Kolachazida Hallelujah Hallelujah A little bit to the Shema, a little bit to the Torah, Kol HaNishmat Eliyah, Kol HaNishmat Eliyah, Baruch Adonai, Amen, Amen, Amen. Vayimalek Kavodo Kol Haaretz, Amen, Vayivarek David Adonai, Bol Adonai, Bol Adonai, Bol Adonai, Bol Adonai. Atahu Adonai, Bol Adonai, Atahu Adonai, Mashiach Bachata, Abraham, Otzei Tomo, Kastim, Masat Shmo, Abraham, Otzei the man of Necha, Begardim, on the Beit Vayam Bakat Alifnehem, Varim Abedokayam, Vayabashad, Ravim, Mishvati, Putzbuku, Evan, Moy Mazim, Vayushadanai, Vayam, Mitzvah, Vayar Yisrael, Tiyad Gadosh, Rosadonai, Mitzrayim, Vayuam, Adonai, Vaymiwadonai, Moshe Avno. We rise together in the middle of page 102. Az Yisrael Moshe, Avnei Yisrael, Shield Adonai, Vayim More, Shield Adonai. Ozi the Zimmer Adonai, Vishul, Ozi the Yom Devu, the Vayim of the Burma, Man, and Adonai, Adonai, Melech kol haaretz, Vayomi Adonai echad, U'shemo echad. Nishmat kol chai, Tevarech et simcha, Adonai Eloheinu. You may be seated on page 104. לדוד מלכי נפשי את אדוני וכו קרבי את שם קדשו האל ותגוזך הגל בגבול שמך הגיבור לנצח ונורתך המלך היושב על כיסא רם ונישא. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We have now completed the opening prayers of Birkat HaShachar and Pasukei de Simra. So nice to have people here. And welcome to the playground minion and Mazel Tov to Eve, Stacy, and all the girls on Maddie's Bat Mitzvah. It's so nice to be together. And Sean, are you leading us in Shachri? Good. Okay. So we turn to page 105 as Sean Herstein leads us in Shachri.
Page 105. Shochinad Varom V'Kadosh Shemo. B'fi Yesharim Tithalal, U'b'divrei Tzadikim Titbarach, U'b'lshon Chasidim Titromam, U'b'kerev Kedoshim Titkadash, U'b'makalot Rivavot, Amcha Beit Yisrael. Shekin Chovat Kol Yitzurim Lefanecha, Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu, Lehodot lehalel leshabeach lefaer leromim lahader levarech lealei ukales al kol divrei shirot v'tishbechot David ben Yishai abdecha meshichecha yishtabach shimcha la'ad malkeinu.
Rise together.
Brachot ve'odot me'atav yad olam, Baruch atah Adonai, El melech hadot v'tishbechot, El ha'odot Adonai niflot, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אלפי העולמים. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דבקותי במלך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה, ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמיה יתברך. יתברך, וישתבח, ויתבר ותרום, וינשא, ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה, בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, ואמירן בעלמא, באמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. Baruch Adonai Borach Leolam Va'ed. Can I have a seat? Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Yotzer Or Uvarech Hoshech Oseh Shalom Uvarei Et HaKol HaKol Yoducha VeHaKol Yeshavucha. In Kerkach Adonai Eloheinu ba'olam hazeh v'yein zulatcha malkeinu l'chei ha'olam haba. Efes b'iltecha golenu limot ha'mashiach v'yein domeh lecha moshienu l'tchiyat ha'metim. Continue on page 108. El Adon al kol ha'masim baruch umborach v'fi kol neshama godlo v'tuvo Male olam da'atu dunaso v'rimoto Hamika el chayot ha'kodesh v'nedar b'chavod al merkava Zechutu mishor lifnei chiso Chesed v'rachamim lifnei kvodo Tovim meorot shebara Eloheinu yitzaram b'dat Bivina upaskel koach ugvura Natan bahem liot moshlim b'kerev tevel Meleim ziv umfikim noga Na'ezivam b'chol ha'olam Smechim b'tzeitam v'sasim b'loam Osim b'hem ha'retzon konam Pe'er v'chavod nonim lishmon sola verina L'zecher malchuto kara l'shemesh Vayizrach ura'a v'hikim surat alvana Shevach nonim lo kol tzivah amaram Tiferet u'gedula Tzrafim ve'ofanim v'chayot ha'kodesh Yanai nai nai yanai nai nai yanai nai 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 yanai nai 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 yanai nai 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 yanai nai 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 Le'el asher Shabbat mikol ha'ma'asim. Kulam ahuvim, kulam burim, kulam giburim, v'kulam osim be'ema v'ratzon konam, v'kulam hokim behem b'kedusha v'tohara, b'shira v'zimra, u'mbarachim u'shabchim u'farim, u'maritzim u'makdishim, u'mamlichim, et shema el hamelech hagadol v'kvod kadoshu. V'kulam mekablim alehem ol malchut shemayim zeh mizeh, v'notnim reshut zeh lazeh, להקדיש ליוצרם בנחת ברח, בשפה ברח בנימה קדושה, כולם כחרונים ואומרים בעירה, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו. והאופנים וחיות הקודש ברעש גדול מנסים למצרפים, ומתם משבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, וברוך נמו איתנו. Or Chadash Atzion Ta'ir V'nizkechu Anamira Le'oro Baruch Ata Adonai Yotzer HaMe'orot. We join together on page 111. Ahava Rabba Tanu Adonai Eloheinu Chem L'Gdula V'Tera Kamalta Aleinu Avinu Malkeinu Ba'avur Avotenu Shebatchu V'cha Avinu Malkeinu Vatelamdem Chukei Chaim Ken Techonenu Tlamdenu Avinu Ha'av HaRachaman Amrachem Rachem Aleinu V'tein b'libenu lehavinu haskil lishmoa lilmod ulilbamed lishmor v'lasot ukayem et kol divrei Talmud Torah techa b'yahava V'ha'er einenu v'toratecha v'dabek libenu mitzvotecha v'yached levavenu liyahava ulira et shemecha v'lo nevosh le'olam va'ed v'lo nevosh le'olam va'ed Ki b'shem kodshecha hagadol v'hanora b'tachnu nagila v'nismecha v'shuatecha v'havinu l'shalom me'arba kanfot haaretz v'tolichenu Komemiyut le'artzenu Ki el poel Yeshuotata Uvanu v'charta mikol am v'lashon V'kerabtanu l'shimcha gadol Selah b'emet lehodot lecha Uyachedcha v'yahava Baruch Atah Adonai Habocher b'mo Yisrael v'yahava. We turn to page 112 for the Shema. Maddie, you leading us in the Shema? Come on up.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, bechol lovavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol me'otecha. Ve'hayu hadbarim ha'ele, asher anochi metzavecha hayom al vavecha. Veshinantam lavanecha, vedibartam bam, veshiftecha uveitecha, uvlavtecha vaderech, uvshoftecha uvakmecha, upshartam layot al yadecha, vehayot atafot beinenecha, uftavtam amazuzot veitecha, uvisharech. Leman tiskeru ve'asitem et kol mitzvotaim ve'item keroshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'hiyot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Amen.
continue in the middle of 113. לדור ודור קיים ושמו קיים, וכיסו נכון מלכותו ומנותו לעד קיימת. אמת שתהו אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, מלכנו מלך אבותינו, גואלנו גואל אבותינו, יוצרנו צור ישועתנו, ועודנו מצאנו מעולם שמך. אין אלוהים זולתך, עזרת אבותינו אתה הוא מעולם. תהילות לעליון ברוך הוא מבורך, משה בני ישראל הכנו שירה, בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. שירה חדשה שכלולים לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובדכנו ממך, יהודה וישראל, גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We begin the Amidah on page 115b together. We'll do the first 2 pages as a community, and then you'll continue individually and silently with whatever prayers you have in your heart this morning or the words in the book. 115b.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol Vezoher Hasdei Avot Umevii Goel Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo B'Ahava Melech Ozer Umoshiach Umagen Baruch atah Adonai Gid Avraham U'Sukei Tzara Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mikayeh Mekim Atos V'Avol Hoshiyah Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed Mechayeh Meitim B'Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim B'Rofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umechayeh Emunato L'Yishenei Afar Michamocha Bal Gevurot Umito Melach Melech Le'Mid U'Mechayeh U'Matzliach Yeshua V'Ne'eman Atah L'Chachayot Meitim Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh HaMeitim.
לקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמעתי שמותו בשמי מרום, אגדו בו יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה, ויאמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, וכל הארץ כבודו. אז בקול רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מנסים לעומת צרפים, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו. Baruch kavod Adonai במקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון, בקרוב בימינו לעולם ועד תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש בכל ירושלים עירך לדור ודור, ולנצח נצחים. V'yeneinu tirana malchutecha kadavar ha'amur b'shirei uzecha Al Yidei David Mashiach Zikacha Yimolcha Ha'olam V'Hayir Sion L'dor Vador Hallelujah L'dor Vador Nagi Godacha L'netzach L'tzim Kedushatcha Nakish V'Shivchacha L'heinu Mipin Elohim Lush Le'olam Ba'ed Ki Melech Gadol V'Kadosh Ata Baruch Ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. If you are still davening, please continue at your own pace. The service continues on page 138 with Kaddish Shalem. And have a seat as soon as you're done with your Amidah. Yid Gadal V'Gadash Shemei Rabbah Ve'al Maddie B'Achruti V'Yamlich Machutei V'Chayet Honu V'Mechon V'Chayet Echol Beit Yisrael V'Agalav B'Zman Karev V'Imru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Ve'olam Olam Me'almaya Yitbarach V'Yishtabach Yitbarach Shemam V'Naseh V'Tadar V'Taleh V'Talal Shmei Kedusha B'Richu Leila Min Kol B'Chata V'Shirata Shuvata V'Nechamata D'Amiran B'Alma V'Imru Amen Titkabal Slot Hon About Hon D'Chol Yisrael Kodama V'Hon D'Vishmaya V'Imru Amen Yehi Shlam Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Alenu V'Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen Oseh Shalom B'Mromav V'Yaseh Shalom Alenu V'Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. We continue with the Torah service on page 139. Our friend Ellie Kelman comes up to lead us.
Page 139. In kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, bin kamasecha, malchutecha malchut, kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch, le'olam va'ed. Adonai Yos le'amo yitain, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom, af harahamim, heitiv avertzoncha et Zion, tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, tivnei chomot Yerushalayim ki
B'cha levad batachnu melech el ram v'nisa.
Adon olamim.
As we rise together, we call forward Lily and Charlotte, as well as Martina Vital and Cody Simon, Sophie Barada, and Daniel Berda to come forward, please, as we open the ark.
Vayehi bin so Aharon, Vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, Ve'afutu oyevecha, Ve'anusu mesanecha mipanecha, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Udevar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Le'amo Yisrael B'kedushato. Be'ana Rachis, V'lishme Kadisha Yakira, Ane'emar Tushbechan, Be'ana Rachis, V'lishme Kadisha Yakira, Anaemar Tushbechan, Yehera Vakadama, Detivtak Libi Beyoraita, Vetashli Mishalim Delibi, Velibatapulama Yisrael, Letabo Chaim Velishlam. Amen. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adoninu Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu. Turn and face the ark.
Gadol Adonai iti Unaroma Shemo Yaktav.
Maddie?
Adonai
Vashamayim uvaretz, behold, Vashamayim uvaretz, lecha Adonai Hamacha, Laminaseh lechol lerosh, Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'ishtachavu le'Adam Kadoshu, Romemu, Einu, Ve'ishtachavu le'Har Kadosh, Ki Kadosh Adonai Yisrael. Torah, Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, Tziva lanu Moshe. You may be seated.
Us?
There. you have a blue siddur, you go ahead and put it away. We're going to take out the red.
Elle s'est pris, je crois, le plus épais. Yes. It's okay.
Ellen, you okay? You okay, Maddie? You want to take a minute?
I'm good.
You okay, Ellen? Okay, deep breath. Ellen's okay.
Well, that was exciting.
We have to have some kind of drama. It wouldn't be. I'm glad you're okay.
I'm fine.
All right. Everyone take a deep breath. She's good. We're going to
Yes.
continue with our red kumashim. Jeff's got them in the back, so if you would like one, go ahead and take one out. The Torah portion is called Acharei Mot, and it's found in the book of Leviticus. Interestingly enough, the Torah portion is about Aaron and his process on Yom Kippur to reset the Beit Mikdash, the tabernacle, the shrine, to sort of put a whole reset to the whole entire community. And that's done on Yom Kippur, and that's what the core of this Torah portion is about. The inner dimensions are very, very important to discuss, and maybe something we'll get into a little bit later about grit, determination, how do we transform the world. But it is found on page 679. But before we read the Torah, we want to make sure that Maddie has her talit, and both her parents, Eve and Stacy, share a few words with the congregation. Come on up.
It's for me.
No, first your speech.
Okay, sorry. Maddie, ma chérie. So I will read the French version to you in private after the ceremony. So this week is quite a milestone for you. You have two events where you put yourself in front of your community. Earlier this week, with a solo contemporary dance performance before your school, and your bat mitzvah today. I am incredibly impressed by how well you prepared for these two events with determination and passion. In challenging times, you can judge someone's actual fabric, and this moment in your life is just that. You raised to the occasion, which makes me so proud of you. Thinking about what I wish for you today, these two events represent what I hope your life will be. Opportunities to grow in your community and moments to express your passions. Maddie, you have so many talents. And for some already at a mature level, you are incredibly articulate and can express sophisticated thoughts with beautiful words. You are intellectually curious with many interests like dance, music, books, and movies. You have a gift for immersing yourself in great stories and sharing them with your family. Your memory is legendary in our family. Legendary.
No, legendary.
Legendary. That's what I said. You're the only person I know who remembers vivid details of events that happened when you were 4 years old. I love that you regularly try new disciplines and put yourself in challenging situations while discovering yourself and the world around you. The famous Steve Jobs quote, "Stay hungry, stay foolish," fits you so well. Maddie, you're a natural leader, and I hope you take that ability to extraordinary levels as you grow and bloom in your adult life. You are full of affection for others, and I love how you give the strongest hugs to our family and me. Your hugs are full of love and tenderness. I always hope that your hugs last longer as they warm my heart and make me so happy to be your papa. Finally, I will say the same thing I tell you every morning when I drop you at your school bus. Be optimistic, be positive. A positive mindset boosts your outcome in everything you try and how you face challenges and try new things. It's even scientifically proven. With optimism, you will get the best outcome possible from your interactions with the world. I love you so much. Je t'aime très fort.
Maddie, your Torah portion speaks about laws for fasting and atonement on Yom Kippur. Parts of the parsha are actually read on Yom Kippur. The message is that there is one day set aside to be special and sacred. I love that this is your Torah portion because for our family and everybody here, this day is sacred and special. It's the day we get to say, these are our values as a family: love, learning, Torah, and the traditions of our families and ancestors. Words that Papa and I wrote in our ketubah almost exactly 20 years ago today. These are the people most important to us, who we have invited to share in this moment, both online and here in this room. And especially, this day is sacred and special because it's the day we get to celebrate and focus on you and only you. As the littlest Saada, the youngest of 3 sisters, you especially deserve this day. The term littlest Saada comes from an inscription that an author wrote when she signed her book for you, Velma Gratch and the Way Cool Butterfly. We saw the play around the corner from our apartment in New York, and the author was there. The book is about the youngest in a family with 3 sisters. The youngest craves her own identity. I won't go into the story, but it involves a butterfly. I have always loved the image of butterflies for you. You even dressed up as one for your first Halloween, and I will show everybody that costume. Almost finished. I love the image of a butterfly for you because it is symbolic of freedom, transformation, and beauty. 3 words that make me think of you and what I want to share with you. Freedom. Like a butterfly flying in the open sky with no boundaries, you are happiest when you feel free. I saw that this week in your stunning solo dance performance at school. When you dance, which is your true love, you feel free. Transformation. Like a butterfly that moves from darkness through metamorphosis and into light, you transform. You're about to become a bat mitzvah. We will literally, in this room, watch you move from a Jewish child to a Jewish adult right here in just a few moments. This is transformation with a capital T. And I am moved by all of your smaller transformations. I love to watch you constantly change into different and better versions of yourself. Beauty. Maddie, you are beautiful. You are beautiful when your beautiful eyes light up when they're excited. when you're excited, and you are beautiful because you never shy away from your true self. You stand up for what's right. You don't tolerate bullying. You are genuine and caring. And you gravitate towards people who are like you. You bring your full self to the world. Butterflies can't see their wings. They can't see how truly beautiful they are, but everyone else can. Maddie, I hope you will always bring your full self to the world. The world needs people who don't shy away from their true self. I will always be there for you, and I'm your number one fan. Love you. Oh, and here is your talit.
Blessing of the
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzi.
Mazel tov to Stacy and to Eve on Maddie's bat mitzvah. Maddie, come on up over here. We're going to continue with the Torah reading now. If you have an aliyah, just be prepared to come forward as we begin the Torah reading on page 679. Ready? Step on up. Your Siddur? I'll get it for you. Don't worry. This big one? Yeah.
Oh, sure. Okay. You want me to do that? Okay. Here's the spot. You're going to start, okay? All right. V'yazor v'yagen v'yoshiv l'chol chasim bo v'nomar amen. Hakohavu godel Eloheinu utnu kovod l'Torah. Yamdu Tzivya bat Chava v'ber Eliezer, Yoshua ben Shalom v'Simcha, Baruch shenatan Torah li'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. V'atem edveikem b'Adonai Elohechem, Chayim kulchem hayom. Baruch et Adonai Hamorah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe acharei mot shnei bnei Acharon b'korbatam lifnei Adonai vayamutu vayomer Adonai el Moshe daber el Acharon achicha ve'al yavo v'chol et el hakodesh mi beit la parochet el pnei hakaporet Asher el ha'aron ve'lo yamut ki be'anan era'et al hakaporet bezot yavo acharon el hakodesh befar ben bakar lechatat ve'ayle olah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Okay. Yamdu, Rachel bat Shalom v'Simcha, Sandra Lombroso and Julie Benheim, Aliyah Sheni,
Tata Sophie.
Sandra.
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 Also.
Sandra.
Rhonda?
Yes. And Jules.
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 Oh.
Jules.
Bienvenue.
Thank you.
Read the prayer.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Ok.
Vas-y.
En même temps? Ouais. En même temps? Alors, bon, together? Ok, allez. Alors, vas-y. Parce que je sais pas. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher borcha banu mikol lo'ainu, Sana lonu est rozo, baruch ata Adonai, nosain atoro.
Ketonet bod kodesh yilbash umiknese vad yichyu al besaro uvavnet bod yachkor uvmitznafet bod yitnof abigdei kodesh hem verachat bemayim et besaro ulvesham Vayomer right. Umet Adat B'nei Yisrael Yikach Shnei Seirei Izim Lechatat V'ayal Echad Le'olah Vehikriv Aharon Et Parchachatat Asher Lo Vehiper Ba'ado Uv'ad Beito.
Ok. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher nasa lanu Torah emes, v'shani olam Torah b'chanu. Baruch ata Adonai nosen haTorah. Amen. Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Si. Okay.
Yamdu, Simcha Leva Bat Yehoshua Basivya, Panafreda Bat Yehoshua Basivya, Shlishi.
Don't Shirley read from the Torah. I'm reading from the paper. Shirley. Me? Right now? Oh, I do that too. Oh, that's do I do that? Sorry.
Baruch et Adonai Hamburah.
Baruch Adonai Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamburah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
I can't do it. Okay. I can do it. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay, sorry, I have the giggles. Okay. Velaka et shnei hasi'irim, ve'ha'emid otam lifnei Adonai, petach ohel moed, v'natan Aharon, al shnei hasi'irim goralot, goral echad l'Adonai, ve'goral echad l'Azazel. V'hikriv Aharon et hasa'ir, asher Allah alav, Hagaral Adonai ve'asahu hatat ve'hasa'ir, asher Allah alav, Hagaral Azazel Yamad Hai, Lifnei Adonai lehaper alav, Veshala oto, Lazazel Hamidbara, V'hikriv Aharon et par hahatat asher lo, Vehiper ba'ado uv'ad beito, Veshahat
et par hahatat asher lo. Thanks.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Good job.
Sorry for not calling page numbers. We're going to be doing the fourth Aliyah. It starts on page 681 with verse 12. Anna Schwartz, David and
They're over there. They're coming.
All right, Yamdu, David v'Yocheved, Aliyah Revi'i.
Baruch es Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen. V'lakach melo hamachta gachal ha'esh me'al hamizbeach milifnei Adonai u'melo chofnav ketoret samim daka v'hevi mibeit laparochet v'natan et hakatoret al ha'esh lifnei Adonai v'chisa anan hakatoret et hakaporet asher al ha'edut v'lo yamut v'lakach midam hapar v'hiza betzba'o al pnei hakaporet kedma v'lifnei hakaporet yiza sheva pamim min hadam betzba'o v'shachat et seir achata asher la'am v'hevi et damo el mibeit laparochet v'asa et damo ka'asher asa ledam hapar v'hiza oto al hakaporet v'lifnei hakaporet v'chiper al hakodesh mitumat b'nei Yisrael mipishehem l'chol chatotam v'chein yaseh le'ohel moed hashkein otam b'toch tumatam v'chol adam lo yeh b'ohel moed b'vo l'chaper b'kodesh ad seito v'chiper b'adov ad beito u'ba'ad kol kahal Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emes Notah b'shokenu. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen.
I feel so tall.
Okay, we continue with verse 18 and the fifth Aliyah, and we call up a whole group of people.
It's going to be a party
So-
on the Bima.
Iris, Lisa, Deborah, Cooper, Michael, Avi, and Aiden. A whole group of people. Yamdu, Esther Malka bat Chana v'Hershel, V'Shula bat Esther v'David, Udvora bat Esther v'David, Yehuda Levi ben Dvora v'Robert, and Michael, Avi, Aiden. Do we have your names?
Yes.
Abraham, yes. Abraham, Avi, Yaakov. Okay. B'nai Esther Malka bat Chana v'Hershel, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Aliyah Chamishi.
Anybody want
Go ahead
to
and
kiss the throat? BTT?
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'yatsa el hamizbeach asher lifnei Adonai v'chiper alav v'lakach midam hapar u'midam ha'seir v'natan al karnot hamizbeach saviv v'chiza alav min adam b'etzba'o sheva pamim v'tiharo v'kidsho mitumot b'nei Yisrael v'chila michaper et hakodesh v'et ohel moed v'et hamizbeach v'hikriv et haseir hachai v'samach acharon et shtei yadav et rosh haseir hachai v'hitvada alav et kol avonot b'nei Yisrael v'et kol pishechem l'kol chatotam v'natan otam al rosh haseir v'shilach v'yad ishiti hamidbara v'nasa haseir alav et kol avonotam el eretz gezerah v'shilach et haseir b'midbar uva Aharon el ohel moed ufashat et bigdei habad asher lavash bavo el hakodesh v'hinicham sham v'rachatz et besaro b'mayim b'makom kadosh v'lavash et begado begadav v'yatsa et olato et olat ha'am v'chiper biado uvad ha'am.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Sixth Aliyah continues on page 683, verse 25.
Yamdu Sukkot ben Levet Tibya Hayashena bat Chava Bella Eliyahu Aliyah Hashuti.
It's down here.
At Halev.
Chaylev, yeah.
Okay.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamara.
Baruch Adonai Hamara Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamara Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et shorasho. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ve'et Halev chachatat yaktir hamizbecha v'hamishaleach et hasair lazazel v'kabes begadav v'rachet et bisaro b'mayim v'charechem yavo et hamachaneh ve'et tat ve'et Sa'ir hachatat. I'm lost. Just might have to find it. Okay. No. Asher.
Hold on. Yeah, Asher. Seir hachata.
Seir
Asher.
hachata.
Yeah.
Asher. Where is Asher? Asher. Uh-oh.
See, where did Sean go?
I'm lost.
I think you skipped the line.
These lines are really close together. Wait, where did you start? Do you remember where you started?
Ve'et. Chachatat yaktir hamizbecha v'shamechaleach et hasair lazazel kabes begadav Asher et damam v'chaper ba'kodesh Yotzi el michutz lemachaneh yas vesafru be'esh et arotam ve'et birsham ve'et pirsham v'horeth V'hasrei hamechaneh v'haret lechem lecha. V'haret otam bechukat olam yechabes begadav. Verchat, oh, I got lost again. Et Bisaro Bamayim Be'acharechen Yavo El Hamachaneh. Totally lost. Can't find that place. No. And I memorized it too. I can't find it.
Wait, I think you're here. Hold on. Yeah, you're right there.
Ve'ita lachem lechukat olam be'ozrei hashvi'i bisarei be'esor lachodesh tanu et nafshotechem v'chol melacha lo ta'asu ve'ezra hagar b'tochechem ki bayom hazeh yechaper Elohechem letacher etchem mikol totechem lifnei Adonai titaru. Hallelujah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nasa lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam natan b'tokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Yeah, since I was 13.
Yamnu, Chababat Le Betivia, Berelezer Ben Heshovachana, Aliash, Shvi.
Maddie's reading.
Watch the end of that.
Do you know where we are?
Here. Oh,
Okay, in here.
Oh, okay. Well, I just saw it for her.
Okay.
Yeah, she's at the bottom.
Who is Adonai Amra? Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamamim v'notzan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai nosen haTorah.
Yeah, this is great.
What verse is that we reading?
That's just a few lines. Shabbat.
Yeah, Shabbat.
There you go.
How can you point to me?
I got it.
Shabbaton hilachem ve'initem et nafshotechem hukat olam vehiper hakohen asher yimshach oto asher yamale et yado lechachen tachat aviv velavash et bigdei habad bigdei hakodesh vehiper et mikdash hakodesh ve'et ohel moed ve'et hamizbeach yechaper ve'al hakohanim ve'al koam hakahal yechaper v'haitazot lachem lechukat olam lechaper al b'nei Yisrael mikol chatotam achat bashana vayas ka'asher tiva Adonai et Moshe.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nasan lanu Torah emet V'chaye olam nota b'chorkenu. Baruch atah Adonai, nosein
Oh, do I go again?
Are you ready to bear Adonai?
Yitkadam
No,
v'yitkadash
that's the first one.
mirabam v'yamadi rachayotei v'yamlich malchutei mechayechon v'yomeichon u'chayedecho beit Yisrael b'agala u'bizman hakarim v'yimeru amen. Yesh merabah mevorach Yom Yomaya Yitbarach Yishtabach Yitbar B'Trama B'Naseh V'Yetala V'Yetala L'Shemei D'Kudeshah Leila Min Kol Berchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechemata Damira Miyama V'Yemeru Amen. The Maftir Aliyah for calling Maddie to the Torah is on page 692.
You calling her up? No,
calling her?
no.
No. Ta'amod Hadara Bad Yeshua B'Tziviyah Le'aliyah Hashvi'it.
First with the kiss.
It's true. Should we do it again?
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Shabbat Shabbaton hilachem ve'initem et nafshotechem hukat olam vehiper hakohen asher yimshach oto va'asher yamale et yado lechachen tachat aviv velavash et bigdei habad bigdei hakodesh vehiper et migdash hakodesh ve'et ohel moed ve'et hamizbeach yechaper ve'al hakohanim ve'al ko'am hakahal yechaper v'haitazot lachem lehukat olam lechaper al b'nei Yisrael mikol chatotam achat bashana vayas ka'asher tiva Adonai et Moshe. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tzachenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Ya'amod Hagmabiyah v'Hagelila L'Sefer Torah. We rise together as we call forward Larissa Schlalet, Tamar Bikastoljan, and Lila Bikastoljan, as well as Jonah, Leo, and Eli Wundert, as we lift and bind the Sefer Torah. Who's lifting? One of those guys. Me.
Yeah, I got it.
It's very light.
V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe v'nei Yisrael v'yad Adonai v'yad Moshe v'zi Torah 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 tziva lanu Moshe Torah 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 tziva lanu Moshe Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. You may be seated. The Haftarah is found on page 1216, verse 18 in your red Chumash. Again, that's 1216, verse 18. I'll call forward Maddie now to please come and read the Haftarah, but before she does that, she has a few words of Torah she'd like to share with us. Make sure you're right into the mic, read slow and loud. Okay.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all so much for being here with me on this special day and coming all this way from across the street to across the world. All my life, I have been waiting patiently for the moment when I finally give my big speech. Last year, I was able to give one to my math class on Zoom when I got the highest score on a math test. I made the best of my speech, and I opened my desk drawer and got out my list of people to thank in speeches. I cannot thank my parents enough for raising me to who I am today. Mom, I truly don't know what I would do without you. As you always remind me, you are my #1 fan, and you stay true to that statement. Whether that be watching a cooking show and listening to me insulting the contestants, watching Gilmore Girls, getting a snack after a bad day, waking up in the middle of the night to help me when I'm sick, listening to everything I have to say and everything in between. Papa, you have always supported me through every passion I've had and taught me to express what I feel. You also managed to live with 3 children who refuse to eat cheese, let alone 3 French children. My family couldn't have done it alone. All of my grandparents, cousins, family friends, and friends, whether that be from camp or from school, they have taught me all what I am and what I am today. Lily, you are so kind, funny, loving, responsible, smart, and I'm so lucky to be able to follow in your footsteps at Ramah and at Harvard Westlake. I'm so proud of you for getting into Cornell, but at the same time, I don't know what I'm going to do when you are across the country. Wait. Oh, okay. Sorry. My pages were printed out wrong. My pages were printed out incorrectly.
Okay. So, is there something? Where did you start?
No, it's okay. I'll do. Charlotte. Where do I start? You have taught me the true ways of becoming a teenager, and even though we fight every second and we insult each other constantly, and we're going to die without Lily to separate us, I still love you, and I always will, and I know you do too. You are such an incredible sister, and I love stealing your clothes. Thank you for being such an incredible role model, and because of that, I even used your siddur for my day today. As most of you know, my Uncle Stephen lost his fight against brain cancer in June of 2015 after battling it for a little over a year. Although I was only 7 years old, and it has been almost 7 years now, the pain and impact will never go away. It hurts knowing that so many other families have to experience this. When my uncle passed away, there was only one thing that helped me feel a little better: dancing. I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. I love to dance because it makes me feel free. I can escape reality and express my emotions through movement. I feel so lucky that there is a charity that connects 2 things I care about. Dancers Against Cancer is an organization that allows dancers like me to raise money to help other dancers who have cancer. My hope is that someday we can live in a world where we can dance without cancer. Okay. Noah. In my Haftorah, it's about 2 best friends, how they share their love for each other, share their hearts with each other, and are just always there for each other. The name Noah means motion, and my Hebrew name Hadara means many different things. Among one of them is beauty. 2 words that are so different, but when you put them together, you get beauty in motion. After 1,103 days, or 3 years and 7 days, nothing had changed. Just like David and Jonathan, no matter how much time and no matter what goes against you, nothing changes. We caught up on everything, and since then, we've been annoyingly close to everyone. Body in Motion is a class I will never forget. I didn't want to go, but after the first day, I never wanted it to end. Noah, you have helped me every step of the way, making Pinterest boards, coming to altering appointments, listening to my Torah portion, calling every day to make sure I'm on track, but most importantly, being my absolute best friend. No matter how much motion goes on in our lives, we will always be there for each other to find the beauty of our friendship. 385 Fairview Road, Ojai, California, 93023 is just another piece of land But over the summer, on the third Thursday of July, that all changes. 600 kids and 180 staff members enters it, and all of a sudden, it becomes something magical. It becomes Camp Vermont. The most important thing we have in our lives is special moments. And when I look into the light of the Havdalah candle on the last week of camp, on White Shabbat, I see everything from the past 4 weeks out in front of me. Waving the flag during color wars, rocking through the ages, all dressed up in our Hannah Montana outfits, chilling on the hill, and then back to the light of the candle. Vermont is really what started my appreciation for every moment we are given. Looking back at the weeks I get to be there, they're so incredibly special. But unfortunately, not everyone can think them the same way. When Aaron's 2 sons died, he felt hopeless, alone, and sad. I'm sure that we could all think of a time where we felt the same. Maybe not to the same extent, but just a time we felt similar. The more I thought about it, the more I realized the difference it would make if we took advantage of every last second we have. The memories I have of my uncle Stephen and my grandpa Poppy are my most precious memories because each memory I had only happened once. The best thing we could do is take it in and enjoy what comes next. In my 4,958 days of living so far, I've learned a lot. But today, on my 4,959th day, I'm starting a whole new chapter of my life. 4,958 days ago, I had no idea I'd be up here today in Los Angeles with so many of my incredible friends and family here with me to celebrate. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 4,959 days, but I hope that we're all going to be together, surrounded by our friends and supported by family, celebrating sweet moments together. Shabbat Shalom.
Are you ready for your Haftarah? You read it out of here, or reading it out of here?
Oh,
The blessings
yeah.
are there. And then, okay, so let's take this out. Okay. I'll take your speaks. The Haftarah again is found on page 1216.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divrahem hane'emarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayihar af Shaul biho Natan vayomer lo ben havat hamardud halo yadati kivoher atal ben yishai levoshtaka ulvoshet ervat imecha kiho hayamim asher ben yishai chai al ha'adamah Lo tikon ata umalchutecha ve'ata shalach veka oto elai ki ven mavet hu vaya'an Yehonatan et Shaul aviv vayomer elav lama yumat me'asa vayatel Shaul et hachanit Alav lehakoto vayeda Yehonatan ki chala hi me'im aviv lechamit et David vayakom Yehonatan me'im hashulchan bechoriyaf velo achal beyom hachodesh hasheni lechem ki netzav el David ki hichlimo aviv Vahi vaboker vayetze Yonatan hasadeh lamoed David benar katon imo vayomer lena'aro roots metzana et hahitim asher anochi more Hanarat vehu yarach hachetzi lecha avira vayavo hanar ad mekom hachetzi asher yara Yehonatan vayikra Yehonatan acharei hanar vayomer Halo chacheti nimcha v'hala. Vayikra Yehonatan acharei hana'ar mehera ha'usha al ta'amud velaket na'ar Yehonatan et hachitzim vayavo el Adonav v'hana'ar lo yada me'uma ach Yehonatan v'David yad'u et hadavar vayiten Yehonatan et kelav El hana'ar asher lo vayomer lo lech chavei ha'ir hanar ba v'David kam me'etzel hanegev vayipol le'apav arza vayishtachu shalosh pe'amim vayishku ish et re'ehu vayivku ish et re'ehu ad David higdio vayomer Yehonatan leDavid lech leshalom asher nishbanu sheneinu anachnu b'shem Adonai lemor Adonai yichye beini uveinecha uvein zari uvein zoracha adolam. No, I still have to say the post blessing. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Tzor Kol HaOlamim Tzadik B'chol Hadarot Ha'el HaNe'eman HaOmer Ve'oseh HaMdaber Umkayem Shekol Devarav Emet V'Tzedek Ne'eman Atahu Adonai Eloheinu V'ne'emanim Devarecha V'debarach ad midvarecha Achor lo yashuv Rekam Ki el melech ne'eman v'rachaman ata baruch ata Adonai ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav rachem al Tzion ki hivet hayenu vela alu vashnefesh toshia v'rachaman v'yamenu baruch ata Adonai mesamech Tzion bevanecha. Samchenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Eliyahu Chanavi Avdecha uvmalchut Beit David Mesichecha bimheira yavo ve'yagel libenu al kiso lo yeshev zar v'rachaman ve'yamenu v'rachaman ve'yamenu ve'yamenu Lid Kudisha Vilim Nucha Kiel Melch Ne'em or right here.
So you're at
Misha.
Kivashem Kochecha Nishpantalo.
Kivashem Kochecha Nishpatalo Shalo Yichbech Nero Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Ata Adonai Magen David Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al Hanvi'im Ve'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh Shana Tatalanu Adonai Eloheinu Likdusha V'Limnucha Lechavid Ultifaret Al HaKol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu Modim La Umvarhim Ota Yibarach Shimcha Bifi Kol Chai V'Rachaman Tamid Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Ata Adonai Amekadesh HaShabbat.
It's like Mazel tov, Mazel tov, Mazel tov. You want one for yourself? I'll take this. Scavengers, all of them. No, you're going to stand here for a minute.
Oh, okay.
All right, Maddie, take a deep breath. You made it. Let me see. It's a big breath. Come on. All of the... Well, we're finally here, and you have made it. You have read your Torah portion, your Haftarah. You've given a speech. Your family has come from all over the world, both near and far. Try to remember this day. I want to share just a couple of words with you. This Torah portion is a really interesting one. It's the center of the Yom Kippur ceremony when Aaron purges the shrine of all the year's impurities. It's like a big reset button, which is what Yom Kippur is for all of us. Rather than thinking about the shrine itself, it's really, Yom Kippur, of course, is about ourselves, right? And it goes through column after column of what Aaron has to do. He has to bring a bull, and then he has to sacrifice it. Then he has to clean himself up and change into a different outfit and then do a different sacrifice. And then there's these 2 goats, and he's got to do that. And then he's got one thing after another, after another, after another. And we could get lost in all of those details. But the thing to remember, which I really want to impress upon you, is that there is a vision of the world that Aaron has. There's a vision of the world where relationships can be repaired, where everything that has been set upon us, everything that has been cast upon us, everything that has freighted us, weighted us down, all of the mistakes that we've made, all the mistakes that other people have made, all the times when we could have gone left and we went right for whatever reason, which now feels gross or icky, it feels heavy, it feels dark. There is a vision of the world where all of that can be let go. But to get there, Aaron has to go through a series of ordeals. He has to put the work in to create the vision of the world he wants to see. That's the trick of the wisdom of the Torah, is that there is no perfect relationship in the Torah. There is no perfect vision of the world where everyone is holding hands and passing out flowers and singing songs. That does not exist in the Torah, because the Torah is not a book of fantasy. It is not just an imaginative piece of literature. It is a guidebook for the world which we actually live, where people get into arguments, where folks make mistakes, where the world isn't perfect, but it's the best we can make of the material that has presented itself to us in real time. Which means that if you want a better world, you have to put in the work. You can dream of a future, Maddie, where you can achieve anything. You can become a dancer. You can become a singer. You become a doctor. You could become an engineer. You could become a politician, a diplomat. Whatever that vision is of the world that you see in front of you, the lesson of this Torah portion and the lesson of what it means to become a bat mitzvah is that you have to put in the work to create the world you wish for yourself. Your parents have put in that work. And then some. I don't know how long we've known each other now. It's got to be over 10 years, maybe? Yeah? Since you came to California, right? Yeah. And your family and our family, we've been through some great stuff and some not great stuff together. But we're putting in the work to build the world that we dream for ourselves. So my blessing for you, Maddie, on your bat mitzvah, is that as you continue to emerge to become the woman you are destined to be, dream big. Dream of a world that is better than the one you founded. Dream of a world that is more peaceful. Dream of a life for yourself that is more beautiful, more caring, more kind, more just. Dream of those things. Don't ever lose those dreams. But just like your parents and your grandparents, and just like Aaron the priest, If you want that world, you have to put in the work. So dream big and work big. That's what it takes. The gift of living in the United States, sorry for your French family, but the gift of living in the United States is that if you have big dreams and you're willing to put in big work, the doors are open. Find the way forward and build the world you want to see. I call your folks forward now. Stacy, Eve, come on up. Get close to her. Yeah, there you go. These are your parents. They brought you into this world. They're trying to guide you with the best values that they can, no matter how much you think that they embarrass you. They are really important people in your life. Ask your sisters to rise. These are your closest pals and, yeah, I know.
Closest living companions.
Closest people who used to all share a room together. So this is a little, yeah, but I know they'll have your back no matter what. If you've traveled here from someplace far away to celebrate with this family, I ask you to please rise. Let yourself be seen. Look at these world travelers that all came here to this little corner of Encino to celebrate you because they love you, they pour their life into you, they care about you and support you. If you are here because you've been invited by the family to celebrate, if you are related to this family, please rise. If you're here because you wanted free lunch and realized you were in the wrong location, that's okay. You can rise too. This is your community. This is a place that loves and cares for you. You have all now been conscripted into the army of helping bring this young woman to the next stage of her life. If you are one of her friends and are sitting in the back and now are just paying attention, please. Every Friday night, our families, we bless each other with the blessings, the same blessings that Aaron gives the community, found in next week's or the week after's Torah portion. You will bless you with these words. Put your hand on her head. Yisimech Elohim Gesara Rivka Rechavaleya. May God bless you, Maddie, that God has blessed the mothers of Israel. Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ye'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light and grace always shine down upon you. May God's face turn to you, Maddie, and help you envision that world of peace, that bigger world, and give you the strength to get there. And together we say, Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu. Praised are you, God, who gives us our days, gives us life to pour our lives into each other, and establishes us for moments like this. And together we say, Amen. Simen tavu, mazel tavu, mazel tav, and simen tav, simen tavu, mazel tavu, mazel tav, and simen tavu, mazel tavu, mazel tav, and simen tav, yehelanu. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, v'chod Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, v'chod Yisrael. David melech Yisrael, chai v'kayam. David melech Yisrael, chai v'kayam. Mazel tov, mazel tov. You may all be seated. If you have a red chumash, you can go ahead and close it. Take out those blue sidurim as we continue in our service.
Minion kids, please rise and come for the ashrei.
If you are one of the kids at the playground minion, please come forward. Good. Come on. Lila, you once upon a time were one of us. You're just because you live in a different state now doesn't mean.
Miriam,
come on. Come on. You've been called out by name. Come on. Page 151, the words of Ashrei.
You're still in the middle. No, you guys. No, we all did the ashrei together. No. Okay. We're still in the middle. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Ashrei b'techa, oya hallelu chasela. Ashrei ham shekachalo, ashrei ham shemai elav. Tehillah leDavid, Aromim Elohai HaMelech, V'bracha Shimcha le'olam va'ed. V'chol yom avarchecha, v'olah Shimcha le'olam va'ed. Gadol Adonai v'lo me'od, v'legdulato ein heker. Dor l'dor yisham ha'asecha, u'gvuratecha yagidu. Hadar kevodadecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha. Ve'zuznotecha yomeru, u'gdulata saprana. Zecher Avtucha yabiu, v'tzivcha yeranenu. Chanim v'achum Adonai, erech hapayim udal chesed. Tov Adonai l'kol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav. Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chagidecha yemarchucha. Kevod malchucha yomeru, u'gdulata yedaberu. Leviel ivnei ha'avrata, u'kvod hadar malchuto. Malchucha malchut kol olamim, u'menshaltecha v'kol dor v'dor. Somech Adonai l'kol ha'neflim, zokeh l'kol ha'kufim. Einei kol ha'yisameru, v'ata noten lahem et ha'meito. Poteach et yadecha, u'matzia l'kol chai ratzon. Tzadik Adonai b'kol derachav, v'chasiv b'kol ma'asav. Karov Adonai l'kol korah, l'kol asher yikiru b'emet. Ratzon yirah v'yaseh, v'et shavatam yishma v'yashien. Shomer Adonai l'kol olav, v'et kol ha'shayim yashmiv. Tehillah Adonai yidaber, v'yivarech kol basar shem kodsheh le'olam va'ed. V'anachnu nevarech Yah, me'atah v'yad olam. Hallelujah.
Friends, please turn with me to page 149 as we pray for the state of Israel. You can go sit down for one minute.
Okay.
Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael B'Go'elo, Berechet B'Dinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Gulatenu, Hagen Aleha Ve'evrat Chasdecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Orecha B'Amechal Rashea, Sareh Ve'otzea, V'daktem B'Tzet Tovel Melfanecha, Chazek Et Yidei Midei Eretz Kodshenu, V'Yichlinu L'Yeshua, V'Tar Tov Nitzachon Tatrem, Natata Shalom Ba'aretz V'Simchat Le'olam B'Shve'el V'Namar. Amen. We call forward now Deborah and Brad Miro, Ellen and David Siblitz to read the prayer for the state of Israel in English. Page 149.
A prayer for the state of Israel. Avinu Shebashamayim,
Rock and Redeemer of the people of Israel, bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption. Shield it with your love, spread over it shelter with your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them, crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace, and its inhabitants with lasting joy. Amen. Amen.
Take a moment now to pray for those in our community who are ill. If there is someone in your circle of friends or family who are exhibiting illness or injury and you would love to pray for them, I ask you to rise at this time. I will pause to include their names. Mishaberach Avoteinu Abraham Yitzchak Yaakov Saravi Kalbarchav Aleya Hu Yivarech V'Yirepeh. Please include the names of those you wish to pray for. V'yekol Acholim V'Kila HaKadosh HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleihem L'Chassid Rav Rabotam L'Shlach Lehem Me'era Refuah Shlema Mishamayim Refuah Nefesh Refuah Teguf B'Tov Shari Chol Yisrael Shabbati Melazov Refuah Karava Lava Shmegal Galad Zman Karif V'Nomar Amen. May God, who's been the source of blessing for our ancestors, bless and heal all those in our community who are ill, both mind, body, and spirit, on this holy Sabbath, along with all those who are ill. And together we say, Amen. Friends, it is the new month is coming this coming week. And so we are going to bless the month on page 150. I ask you to please rise with me for Birchot HaChodesh. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu le'avotenu, shetachadeh shalenu et hachodesh hazeh, l'tova u'livracha, vayiten lanu chayim arokim, chayim shel shalom, chayim shel tova, chayim shel bracha, chayim shel parnasa, v'chayim shel chilutz atzumot, chayim sheish b'hem yirat shamayim v'yirat hachet, chayim shein b'hem busha v'chlilah. Chaim shel shetachavod, Chaim shetiyeh banu avat Torah v'yirat shamayim, Chaim shemoleu v'mesolov liban l'tova, Amen, Selah. Misha'asa nisna vatenu v'altel katam, v'yavodu l'chayrot, higalo vatanu v'korov, v'yikabetz nichenu me'akavot ha'aretz, Chaverim kol Yisrael, v'namar Amen. Rosh Chodesh Iyar Macha Bayom Rishon Bayom Sheni Haba Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael L'Tova. Rosh Chodesh Iyar begins tomorrow and on Monday Yom Rishon Yom Sheni. Yechadeshenu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yaleh Kol Amo Yisrael B'Yisrael L'Chaim U'L'Shalom Nasason L'Simcha L'Yeshua L'Nechama V'Namar Amen. We remain standing now as we turn to page 153. As we return the Sefer Torah to the Ark, we call forward Sharon, Lior, Haley, Naomi, and Daniel Bensby, as well as Amanda Gerlich, as well as Mark Rossing, Stacy and Samantha Sachs, Kathleen, Evan, and Benjamin Feinberg. Page 153. Maddie, come forward.
Hallelu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav Shemo levado, Kodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayaren keren le'amo, Tehila lechol hasidav, livnei Yisrael am karovo, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Mizmor leDavid, Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, Havu l'Adonai kavod vos, Havu l'Adonai kavod shemo, Hishtachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vayashaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, Vayarkidem kemo egel, Levanon b'siryon, kemo vein remim. Kol Adonai chotef lavotesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yachol al ayalot, Vayachasot yarot, Uvehechalo kulo omer kavod. Adonai lama buyashav, Vayeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom, Uvnucho yomar. Eitz chayim ki lemachasikim ba v'tomchecha meushar derachecha Noah v'chol netivotecha shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha b'nashuva Kaddish Kadesh Yameinu Kedem.
Go back to your seats. Thank you. Go back to your seats. Thank you very much.
Okay. We have time? Okay. Please have a seat for a moment. Shabbat Shalom. I don't get to usually visit this minyan because I work on Saturday morning, so this is actually a great treat. I have an uncle who I cherish very dearly. My Uncle Henry was raised in a village just on the Polish side of the Polish-German border. And in September of 1939, the Nazis came into his town, one of the very first towns to be overrun by the Nazis. They separated the Jews, about half the town was Jewish, brought them to the town square. My uncle was taken to concentration camps. He spent 6 years as a slave laborer for the Nazis. He was liberated at the end of the war and never spoke about this. Came to America, married my aunt, became part of our family. We saw him frequently, never spoke about it. He had strange habits. He bought a house in suburban New Jersey, tore down all the fences. We said, Uncle Henry, someone's going to steal your barbecue. He said, let them have it. I can't look at fences anymore. He had numbers tattooed to his arm. He slept, you thought he died. He's so quiet when he slept. And we asked him frequently, tell us what happened to you. And he never spoke about it, ever. Until late in our adulthood, my uncle and aunt went to hear Elie Wiesel give a lecture at Rutgers University. And after the lecture, my uncle and aunt waited in line to have him sign the book. They were one of the last peoples in the line. And my uncle began speaking to Wiesel. My uncle had been at Auschwitz when Wiesel was there. And they knew people. Did this one survive? What happened to that one? And they spent an hour and a half in an empty lecture hall talking. And at the end of the talk, Wiesel grabbed my uncle by the scruff of his shirt and said, have you told your children? And my uncle said, no. And Wiesel screamed at him, you must tell them or they won't believe it happened. So that next Pesach, it was a few days later, it was Passover, we came for dinner. My aunt made us dinner, and after dinner, tea and cake on the table, Uncle Henry said, sit down, I have something to tell you. And for 3 hours, he told us the story. They came to the village, they separated the Jews, they brought the Jews into the town square. There were 2 lines. He stood in one, and his mother, father, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and 5 sisters were in the other line. He was 15 years old. He ran across the square to be with his family. His father knew exactly what this meant. So his father did something cruel. His father smacked him across the face and shoved him back in the other line. He survived. None of them survived. He went to 7 concentration camps. At the end of the war, he was one of the carpenters that built Auschwitz. He was in a barracks as the Russian army was coming over the border. They took 3,500 men from his unit on a death march through the Polish winter. 700 arrived. He was liberated from one of the out camps of the Buchenwald concentration camp. The last night, the Nazis came and nailed shut the doors of his barracks. They thought they were all going to die. Starving, sick men. They thought they were going to be machine guns so that the Germans would have no witnesses to what they did. All night long, they waited for death to come. As the sun came up in the morning, they heard heavy steps on the ramp up to the door, and then a great boot came and smashed down the door, and the men of his barracks threw themselves on the ground and started to scream, Shema Yisrael. They thought they were going to die, and suddenly they heard a man speaking Yiddish with an Oklahoma accent. an American sergeant who said, "My brothers, you're free." My uncle, 6'2". Upon liberation, he weighed 120 pounds. Men in his barracks died from eating too much. He was very careful. After 3 hours of telling this, and then he said to us, "There's stuff I'm not going to tell you because you don't need to know that." We asked him, "Why haven't you told us this before?" And he said, "Because you've never known what it's like to be hungry or cold or scared." And we said, "Why are you telling us now?" He says, "Because Wiesel is right. If you don't believe it, if you don't hear it from me, you won't believe it really happened. It happened, and it was worse than I told you." But I know the real reason he didn't tell us. The real reason he didn't tell us is he didn't want to destroy the world for us. Because that's the nature of the Shoah, of the Holocaust. Because the farther you look into that darkness, the more hopeless it becomes. And to live without hope is to lose what heart we have in the world. To live without hope is to not be Jewish. To live without hope is not a way to live. And he didn't want to steal hope from us. This week is a very interesting week in our calendar. We just finished Pesach. We finished a holiday which talks all about hope, about liberation. And now the Jewish world gives us two holidays. Last Wednesday night, Yom HaShoah, the day we remember the Holocaust. Next Wednesday night, Yom HaAtzmaut, the day we celebrate the recovery of the State of Israel, rebirth of the State of Israel. Today is called, in the Jewish world, is called Shabbat Kumah, the Sabbath of renewal, of resurrection. And the great question is, what story do we tell to the children on this Shabbat? What story? And that's the reason why my uncle was mute all those years, because what story do you tell that doesn't destroy hope? I mean, just consider what difficulty this generation suffers. The greatest moment of destruction in the history of the Jewish people was the destruction of the temple in the year 70, and the Holocaust matches it or exceeds it. The greatest moment of redemption in the history of the Jewish people is the Exodus from Egypt, and the rebirth of the State of Israel matches it or exceeds it. The difference is that the destruction of the temple and the Exodus took place 1,500 years apart. These two events took place in the experience of one generation. How do you make sense of that? What story do you tell? You turn one direction, you have ultimate evil. You turn the other direction, you have a sense of God's presence in history. What story do we tell? And here is the poignant part of this. Within the experience of our generation, the last survivor will leave us. Most of them are gone now, of course, because if you were 20 years old in 1945, you're over 90 now, right? The last witnesses will be gone. And then this becomes not memory, but history. And history is a different business than memory, because history means a constructed narrative that has a point. And the question is, what point will we offer our children? There was a song sung in Israel some years ago called Kol Ha'olam Negdenu. The whole world hates us. That's not the point. I don't want my children absorbing that story. Nor do I want them to think that the world is evil and dark and impossible. And on the other hand, I want them to know that human beings do have a capacity for such evil. What story do we tell? That is the great question of Shabbat Kumah. My uncle decided at the end to tell a story. He decided to tell his story. In fact, you couldn't get him to shut up. I went with him because he visited every high school that would invite him. I went with him one day to an inner city high school in Newark. African-American high school, lower socioeconomic high school, difficult place. He held an auditorium of 600 kids spellbound for an hour and a half, telling them his story. And then he said to them this: I am a carpenter. I built the kingdom of death. You build a kingdom of life. That was his message. The question is, how do you find hope and strength and vision and purpose? How do we fill a new generation with that hope out of these two remarkable events? Shabbat Kubah is the Shabbos of renewal and resurrection, of bringing it back to life. And that is a great question. Maddie, today you have contributed to that effect, because you are not only a gifted dancer and a wonderful student, you're a bright and powerful soul. You're a bright and powerful soul. And that you would stand before us and read from Torah, as did your mother, that you would stand before us and teach us Torah, that you would tell us that the happiest place you have in your life outside of the home that raised you is a summer camp, very fond of myself, a place where friends can find each other and create life, and create light, and share a song. Camp Ramah. So here is a message for you to bring to all of us. I worked at Camp Ramah a long time. We had a custom at Camp Ramah. I don't know how many of you have been to Camp Ramah. It's just up here, about an hour and a half from here. We have a custom that was bequeathed to us by Satan called Visitor's Day. There's a day that occurs in the middle of the camp session, and because God has just a silly sense of humor, it's always the hottest day of the summer. And Camp Ramah sits in a bowl, so if it's 100 degrees in Ojai, it's 109 at camp, and oppressively hot. And I'm a Rosh Hashanah. I have 110 16-year-olds I'm responsible for. And I spent the whole day visiting their parents and telling them it's going to be okay, your kid will survive. And then when I finished saying hello to all the parents, and we sang our song, I walked up to my cabin to get a cold drink. And as I walked up to the cabin to get a cold drink, I see an elderly gentleman sitting on the bench near my cabin. And he looked a little famished, a little disturbed, a little confused. So I walked up, I said, "Sir, are you okay?" He said, "I'm fine." I said, it's a very hot day. Can I get you a cold drink?" "I'm fine." "Did you get separated from your family? Can I show you the way back?" "I'm fine. Leave me alone." So, okay. But I knew he wasn't fine, so I sat down next to this guy. And he saw that I wasn't going to go away. So after a moment, he looked at me and he said, "You work here?" I said, "Yes, sir. I'm one of the leaders of the camp." He said, "My daughter brought me today. I didn't want to come. I'd rather stay home. But my granddaughter is one of your campers. And I've just walked around this place." And then he looked at me and he said, "I'm a survivor. Do you know what that means?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do. I have family members who are." He said, "You know," and suddenly he became much more serious. He said, "You know something special here. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I saw death close up," he said. "And I'm walking around here and I'm listening to your kids speaking Hebrew and singing songs and making dances. I never thought I would see this again in the world. Not after what Hitler did." And then he turned to me with tears in his eyes and he said, "Young man, this camp, this place, you've given us back something that Hitler took away." And I held him and we had a good cry together. Why is camp so important? Because it's a place of sheer utter joy. It's a place that says death will not win, life will win. Sadness and despair and darkness will not have victory over us. Joy will have victory over us. And every kid in the world who comes out of that camp and says, "This is my happy, safe, and wonderful place," brings back something that Hitler took away. It is Shabbat Kumah, the Shabbat of renewal and resurrection. Let us all celebrate together. Please rise. You want to do this? You want to do Amidah? Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayei chon uv'yomei chon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala ba'agala uv'izman kari v'yamiru, yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam le'om le'olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasei, V'yit hadar, v'yit haleh, v'yit halal, shemei dekudisha brichu, li'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma, v'yimiru. Amen. Page 156. Baruch atah Adonai. Go. Anyone you want.
No, I'm not doing this one.
Yes, you are. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Umevi Goel Livnei B'neihem Leman Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer Ufokia Umagein Baruch Atah Adonai Magein Avraham Ufokei Sarah Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai Mechayei Meitim Atah Rav Lehoshia Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei Meitim Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Umido Mehela Melech Memit Umechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua
Ne'eman atah v'chachayot metim. Baruch atah Adonai
Mechayei HaMeiti Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai lai Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai lai Yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai. Lai 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 Naritza v'nakdishcha Kesod siach sarfei kodesh Hamakdishim shimcha b'kodesh Kakatuv al yad neviyecha Hoy yai lai 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 Yai lai lai Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai lai Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Kakatuv hayad neviyecha V'karazel zevi amar Kadosh 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 Adonai Tzivot Milo Kol Haaretz Kivodo Aye Mikom Kivodo Aye Mikom Kivodo Kivodo Mahale Mahale Olam Aye Mikom Kivodo Kivodo Mahale Mahale Olam Aye Mikom Kivodo Kivodo Mahale Mahale Olam Mishar Tav Shoalim Shoalim Zelazeh Aye Mikom Kivodo משרתיו שואלים זה לזה, חיי מקום כבודו לעומתם, ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו יבן ברחמים, ויחונם יחד עם שמו, ערב ובוקר בכל יום תמיד, פעמיים באהבה, שמע אומרים, שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו, שנית לעיני כל חי, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ודברי קודשך כתוב לאמור, ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהיך ציון, לדור ודור, hallelujah. לדור ודור. No. Come on, a little bit of heart. Come on. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור נגיגד לך. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור נגיגד לך. ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד.
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור נגיגד לך. לדור ודור. לדור ודור נגיד גד לך, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. A quiet moment to pray before we conclude. Turn around. That was good. We're good today. It was lovely. Just go apologize to your sister for getting her lost in the streets. You were good. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru amen ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'yimeru amen. Page 181. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalma divrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaytekol Beit Yisrael bagala v'zman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam le'olmei olmaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekucha brichu le'elim min kol berchat v'shirata tushbechat v'nechemata dam biran v'yalma v'yimeru תתגבר צלותון ובתחון תכבד ישראל קדם ועוד בשמיים ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיים וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו Uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimiru. Amen. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol. Lateit gedula liotzer breshit. Shelo asanu kegoye aratzot velo samanu kemishpechot hadama. Shelo sam chalkenu kachem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim. Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz u'moshev yikaro b'shamayim mimal u'shchinatu zo b'gavem meromim hu Eloheinu Eino al kein kaveh lecha Adonai Eloheinu le'rot me'erap tiferet u'zecha Kakatu b'Toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Even in moments of joy, we remember those who have gone before us. The words of Kaddish found on page 184. We ask anyone who recites the Kaddish in memory of a loved one, observance of yahrzeit, to remain standing. Everyone else can please be seated. Unless you find yourself sitting near someone who's standing up alone, then please stand with them, that they may know that no one grieves or mourns alone when friends and community are present. Our community this week notes the sad loss of Myron Codner, husband of Gail and father of Pam and Mark Levinstein, Joni and David Schiff, grandfather of Brooke and Micah, who are students in our school, and Samantha and Spencer. We offer our prayers to Pam and to her family. The words of Kaddish, Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam me'el maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekucha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav uyaseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Please be seated. You have announcements for the minyan? You have announcements? Announcements for the shul? Yeah, tonight's the gala. We're going to be celebrating the shul tonight. So tell me who I am. My name is Ed Feinstein. I'm one of the rabbis here in the shul. Who are you? Yeah, I love you too. We have this romance going on. So it's a well, for those who have come from far away and those who are visiting, we can talk. It's okay. Thank you for joining us this morning. Welcome. We're delighted to have you to pray and to celebrate with us. To the Saada family, Mazel Tov. Congratulations. I want you to notice that I finally won an argument with her. I got her to do something. It's the first time in a while. So never mind. It's okay. Lily's going off to Cornell, right? Mazel Tov. So get a warm jacket. Bring a warm jacket and a good copy of Dostoevsky and enjoy. It's a wonderful place. And that means you get to move up a bedroom. Is that how this works? Sore subject. Sorry. We're delighted to have you here to welcome, to celebrate with us, and Mazel Tov and many, many more simchas in your lives together. Could everybody stand up? Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Oi, Shabbat, Fleshik, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. What's that fly doing in my soup? The backstroke. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Al Kain Berach Adonai Yom HaShabbat V'Yikadsheu Savri Maranam V'Rabotai Baruch
Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Bore Puri Hagafen.
Amen. Down the hatch. Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov,
Hey Lanu, hey Lanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Hey Lanu, hey Lanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Avi Melech Yisrael. I will. Yisrael.
Mazel Tov.
Mazel Tov. Thank you.
Stacy. There is lunch for people who are Sufid as your invited guest. Is that what it is? I can't remember. I just
It's
want
just
to
lunch for everyone. I have no idea. It's everyone. It's for everyone. Everyone here is invited.
And where
It's
is
only
it?
menu. It's under the tent, the playground. It's where the kids eat lunch.
Yeah. Friends, please join us for Kaddish under the Sports Pavilion